Hello and season's greetings from the Chalmette High School Cultural Arts Center. And welcome to Hindsight, the show that takes a look back at all the good things going on in our school system. We'll start things off with a visit to Davies Elementary for Guest Reader Day. The day was an effort to connect school and community and served as the culminating activity for Literacy Week, as community leaders served as model readers. And while these students were enjoying literature, others were enjoying the history and the culture of the Los Isleños. Here we see some of the learning and fun that was part of its annual museum days.
About a third of the people in New Orleans were free African Americans. Almost all of them spoke French.
You'd like to look at it? Would you like to look at it? Okay.
Oh, I can look at it.
Held on the grounds of the Isleños Heritage Society, this afternoon truly brings learning to life. And speaking of life, let's take a moment to pay tribute to those who live a life of service. Here we see some of the footage taken at this year's annual Veterans Day ceremony here in Chalmette. Students at Chalmette High School also took part in a special ceremony as terrific teens. Throughout the year, students are nominated by their teachers and recognized for their effort and attitude in and out of the classroom.
A terrific teen may be the best student or the hardest worker. The student who has always done his best or is now beginning to do his best. The student who has a great attitude or has the most talent. In short, there are many avenues to becoming a terrific teen. And whatever your nomination is for, congratulations, because you are one of only a few people who can say they were terrific teens.
Oh, and speaking of classrooms, let's meet our last pair of outstanding teachers who are named as Teachers of the Year for 2014. First off, we'll head to Chalmette Elementary and meet its outstanding educator.
Dante Fuoco joined the Chalmette Elementary faculty 2 years ago, and his impact was felt immediately. In his capacity as a special education teacher, Dante quickly began to analyze the needs of his individual students, researching techniques and strategies to best meet those needs. He created a classroom environment that simply oozes encouragement and support, and he then reached out his influence to the remainder of the faculty, getting them involved in working together and brainstorming strategies to best meet the needs of the students. And that is why the faculty voted Dante Fuoco Elementary Teacher of the Year at Chalmette Elementary.
Hi, my name is Dante Fuoco. I'm a special ed teacher at Chalmette Elementary School. Well, I'm in a program called Teach for America, which is you apply to it and you kind of are placed across the country potentially. So I'm from the Northeast, and I majored in English literature in college. But at the end of college, I really started to realize that education was something that was important to me. And when I got placed in special ed, it was kind of a bit of a surprise. I got certified actually last year as I was teaching through an alternative certification program. So while it was a surprise that I was in special ed, I pretty quickly got excited about it because it actually brought together a lot of what's important to me in life. As a special ed teacher, it's really important to get to know people individually. And I felt like I had made those connections in college when I was working for the newspaper or working as an RA or also working as a writing tutor. And even as an English major, you have to learn how to be sensitive and really attuned to people's emotions. So when I started this job, I pretty immediately realized that was a really key skill. As I'm in my second year of teaching here, and when I started off teaching here, I knew that I was going to be teaching a self-contained classroom, which means that I'm teaching my students in my classroom, not going into any of their classrooms. So they only come to my classroom. I only interact with 10 students a day. So it was important to me, given this, that I had to reach out. Because even though my students come to my classroom, they are still part of homerooms, they're still part of cultural arts, gym, art, music. So I've made a real effort, I think, not only in expanding the horizons for my students, but also building connections with teachers. So for my students' homeroom teachers, I've checked in to see how they do, how my students do when they're in their homerooms. As well for cultural arts teachers, check in with them to see my students' progress. I think my job is really important. I think that all these students do deserve a lot. I think that when they grow up, they deserve to get a good job and have a good house and a family and whatever they want. But I think that as it stands right now, we have to work on skills. And whenever all my students have disabilities, those create very real obstacles. But those obstacles are surmountable. I really do believe that, and I think I've seen that with my students in the 2 years I've worked with them. I think important advice that I would give parents is, for one, to always believe in your child. I tell parents all the time that they're the resource really for us, that they know their child best. And I've just been really impressed with how parents have educated me on their child. So, and that's come through parents just holding high expectations for their children and believing in their potential. So that's one piece of advice. I think another piece of advice is to definitely advocate for the school and home to work in connection with each other. So if something at school is not working, then I think the best thing you can do is to communicate that with the teacher, and hopefully there's enough lines of communication that that's possible. But I'm always happy to get phone calls from parents, actually, and I think that that's an important thing that teachers need to know too, that that's actually great if a parent is advocating for a change in the school. My main vision for my students is for them to be self-advocates. And by self-advocates, we talk about people who fight for what they deserve. Now, I talk with my students that fighting does not mean with your fists, but it means that you think through critically what you need and what you need to succeed. More specifically, we break that down into 3 things, which I think do apply for when they go to middle school, when they go to high school, and then when they grow up. And those 3 goals are solving problems, expressing yourself, and building community. And we talk a lot in my class about those 3 goals really being the heart of what it means to be successful. And the same thing goes with creating something. I want my students to be making art, to writing stories, to maybe someday building cars or working in a factory. I think those are wonderful things on how you can express yourself. So again, these 3 skills, expressing yourself, solving problems, and building community, I hope can extend for my students, not just this year, not just next year, but into middle school, high school, and beyond. I want to thank the teachers, administrators, staff members at Chalmette Elementary School for nominating me for Teacher of the Year and also considering me worthy and deserving enough to get the honor. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to continue working here.
And now we'll head to Goche Elementary to meet the 2014 Parish-wide Elementary Teacher of the Year.
Hi, my name is Lisa Young, and it is my pleasure to introduce Ms. Michelle O'Neill, Teacher of the Year for J.F. Goche Elementary and also for St. Bernard Parish. Michelle is an outstanding educator who works hard to meet the needs of her students both in and out of the classroom. She's a teacher leader to other new teachers, is presenting at conferences, and was recently invited to attend the ESET 2 conference. It has been a true pleasure working with Michelle for the past 7 years. Congratulations, Michelle. We're all proud of you.
Hi, my name is Michelle O'Neill. I teach 3rd grade at Goche Elementary. I am this year's Goche Teacher of the Year as well as St. Bernard Parish Teacher of the Year. I think a good teacher needs to be patient and flexible. You need to know that there are things that are going to pop up in your classroom every day that you need to be able to adjust and work around. And you need to be patient because there's no telling what type of student you're going to have. And they need to know that you're there for them and that you're going to be patient and try to help them as best you can. When they leave me, I want them to be confident. I want them to leave knowing that it's not all about textbooks and tests. I want them to know that if they give all of their effort, that they'll be successful. My goal is for my kids to be the best that they can be. Parents at home, there's so many things they can do to help us in the classroom. They can study with their child every night. Things go home. Their homework. Homework is so vital, and so many students just think it's a worksheet that the teacher copied, but so much thought goes into things that just a little bit of extra help from the parents. I only have them so many hours a day, and just any help you can get from home is beneficial. Gary Weiss, my high school Latin teacher, was one of the most amazing individuals that I've ever come across. Latin was not my strong suit. I struggled in Latin, but he made me feel like I was a success. Even though I knew I wasn't, he made me feel, he was just so empowering, and I wanted to do that. But I'm not meant for older students, I'm meant for the little ones. So I try to do that every day. Even when my kids say I can't, my response is, you can't yet, you will. So I wanted to be Mr. Weiss when I grew up. He was just so inspiring. And I think you can inspire an 8-year-old. I mean, it doesn't have to be like, you know, I think they remember you even when they're little. And I want to be that teacher. When that child leaves me, they say, Miss O'Neill inspired me, and I can do this. One of our favorite activities that we do in our classroom is Socratic seminars. It's not normally designed for lower elementary, but we took it and we tweaked it. The kids have a large discussion. They don't have to write anything, they sit and they discuss text, and they love it. It is such a motivator. It's getting them to think outside the box, and they love it. And they're up and they're moving, and they just love it. My favorite part of teaching at Goche is the faculty and the students. It's so unique. I've taught at other schools before, and there's just nothing like it. The faculty, you hate to call it a faculty. It's more of a family. We get together on the weekends. We do so much together as a faculty that you hate to call it that. And the students, there's nothing like them. They're so polite and they try. You just can't ask for better than that. I'd like to thank Goche Elementary's faculty and staff for nominating me as your Teacher of the Year. Thanks, guys.
Congratulations to both of you, and to Michelle Smith of Davies and Ashley Rogers of Lacoste for representing your school and our district so well. And now it's time for Hindsight Spotlight, as we take a peek at some of the fun, merriment, and mayhem of the recent CHS live production, Cash on Delivery.
Wedding might have to be postponed.
Postponed!
If not canceled.
Canceled!
Norman, you have to help me!
Do you know what you are?
Up until now, bloody lucky.
You're insane!
Norman, if you don't help me, I could be dead by dinner time.
You might not make it to dinner time!
Morning, all.
No, it's all in fall. Mr. McDonald's been married for several years now.
Would anybody like a nice cup of tea?
Oh my God! You didn't know?
Of course I didn't know. I would have never gotten engaged to him if I knew he had a wife.
This is his second wife, actually.
Second wife?
His first wife was killed while felling trees down Petticoat Lane.
What?
Other CHS students performing at the Cultural Arts Center included a trio of talented vocalists that took part in a recent Voice Lab recital. In addition to her work as the director of the CHS Voices, Annalise Cassar also teaches a specialized class for talented vocalists that stress technique and performance by introducing soloists to classic and challenging selections. Taking part in the recital were Carolyn Boudreau, Kirsten Wegman, and Tomas Latapi. The CHS Owl Band also enjoyed its time in the spotlight, taking part in the recent Louisiana Music Educators Association field show. Here we see some of the highlights of the band and auxiliary groups performing. It was truly a team effort and a great performance for all. Students throughout the district also had great performances when they took part in the most recent academic games tournament. Players in this brain brawl had to be prepared in both the language-based propaganda game as well as the math game on sets. Congratulations to the players and thanks to the coaches for your commitment. Gina Acevedo, an outstanding academic games coach, is also the director of the soon-to-open MoMA Center. Recently, she conducted a tour for some of our district's curriculum specialists. This new building is coming along nicely and will be a great asset to our community. And now we'll meet a pair of Gabbies in our district who made big news lately. First up is Gabby Gaylott, an 8th grade honor roll student at Trust Middle School, who was recently chosen as the Oshna Hero of the Game at a recent Saints game. Gabriella is an inspiration to others for her positive outlook and strength and received a warm welcome from the Who Dat Nation. Gabby Glapion, a CHS cheerleader, also had a memorable experience recently, taking part in the world-famous Macy's Day Parade in New York City. Ashley Russell, another CHS senior, also had the chance to perform in New York, but not in a parade, but on stage at the Joyce Theater as part of the Complexions Ballet Gala. Ashley was also a featured performer in our most recent Champs, showcasing Chalmette's highs, artists, musicians, and performers. Other Owls quick on their feet also deserve credit. The young men and women who comprise our defending district cross-country champions. Congratulations to the runners and the coaches for bringing home the gold again. And now before we go, we're going to get you into the season by showcasing some of the talent on display in our recent holiday extravaganzas. First up are the highlights from the Chalmette High School annual Christmas Gala, where music, dance, and song were all part of the celebration.
Here to finish. fall in love with an elf.
Schools from across the district also performed in a holiday show, taking part in the Children's Christmas Festival. Held on the grounds of the Miro Foundation's Dockville Farm, this day-long event brought bands, chorus, and dance groups together for some spirited fun. Well, that would do it for this edition of Hindsight. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, the next time you take a look back, you might just see us there, because hindsight is always 20/20. Have a good holiday, everyone.